Can you see me? The sun came out just before we went live, about 30 minutes before. Well, we're in Vegas right now, July 18th. So it feels like we're living on the surface of Mars right now. But we're also in monsoon season. So one second it's bright and sunny, the next second you have the most blackest, most ominous looking cloud right over you, and sometimes it, you know, lets you have it, sometimes not. And it didn't rain here. It spit a little bit, but right before the show started, I had the darkest cloud move right over just like my office, and it was like almost nighttime in here. So I almost got up and turned on the lights, and then all of a sudden, right before we go live, the Lord shines his light down on us. So everything looks cool. Um, Thank you for joining me. Welcome. This is Reverend Shawn Whittington's Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host, Reverend Shawn the Rev. Welcome to my haunted house. To all those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my fave parapeeps on this side of the veil, welcome. Um, it's been quiet so far. I live in a haunted house. You all know that. It's been quiet today, but it might perk up a little bit with my guest today, and I know that's why you all tuned in. So I will get to her right away because she's quite haunted herself. So let me check the prayer urn. There we go. Dana C. from Utah. I'm getting ready to have my baby. Well, God bless you, Dana. Would you say a prayer for my baby? That's a beautiful request. I just had another very good friend here in town have a baby, Kelly, and the most beautiful kid you'd ever want to see in the world, the most beautiful couple we'd ever want to see, um, and so that's great. People are having babies again. That is so cool. Yes, Dana, most certainly I will say a prayer for you, and I'll have prayers printed out for special occasions, which this happens to be one. So, and right off the bat, I love this first one. I'm just going to go with it, okay? I offer this prayer up to Dana's baby who will be with us soon. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Dear God, may you watch my sleep as I carry this baby. May your hand be upon this little life as it develops in my womb. May you fill our hearts with joy and our bodies with peace. May we feel you so close to us as we sense your amazing creativity at work. We rest in you. Amen. That's a beautiful prayer. Keep me posted, Dana, on the birth and how everything's going when it happens. I'll be looking forward to hearing from you, and I will continue to keep you in my prayers. That's wonderful news. Okay, the Paranormal Ministry mailbag. Betty D. from Wyoming. I want to help this ghost in my something, but I'm on former. Oh, I do remember this request. I'm on former Indian land, and I think the ghost is Indian. What should I do? So you've got a spirit of indigenous heritage in your home, Betty, and yeah, you're in Wyoming. So um, I would reach out to the local shamanic community if there is one there. I bet you there is in Wyoming, and try and speak to a holy person. When in Rome, many times, I have a little bit of indigenous blood flowing through my veins too, but when I go to cases where I know I'm dealing with indigenous spirits, I try to get a shaman or a indigenous holy person there. And if not, then I bring everything that's ever been gifted to me by indigenous holy people to use on these cases, like smudging fans and my little medicine pouch and things of that nature. And I will even recite some um, special blessing prayers that have been given to me from indigenous holy people. So be careful. Always show a lot of respect. Don't provoke these spirits, and I would reach out into the shamanic, indigenous community in your neck of the woods and see if somebody might be able to come out and get some help for it. And it's interesting this question would come up today, Betty, because my guest happens to have some indigenous blood running through her veins too. So I might even ask her about that. And her and I have worked some cases together here in Vegas, and just about everywhere you go here in Vegas, you're on indigenous land. So I've run into that issue several times also. So I will pray for you. Brothers and sisters, anything you want to know about my wife and I and our ministry work, go to our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz. That's our website. Keep in mind when you go there to visit that my wife and I don't charge for our ministry work, helping people with their paranormal issues. So I know times are tough, but if you notice the donate button and you're able to do so, click on it and send in a small donation. I promise you it'll be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts, and trust me, we will put it to good use. In addition to being an ordained exorcist, I'm also a certified spiritual advisor. So if you're having issues of a spiritual nature, not attached to the paranormal, and you'd like to speak to the Rev about that, go over to the page called, I believe it's called Spiritual Advisor. And on that page, you can make an appointment with me to talk about these things. But don't leave the website without navigating over to the page called the WSE course/book. On that page, you'll find the ghost store. In the ghost store, you'll find cool things to buy, like this really cool throwback Ghost Be Gone coffee cup, hoodies, t-shirts, other things, if you go for that sort of stuff. But scroll down to the bottom of that page. You'll see my new haunted autobiography, God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry. And I quote, scariest book I ever published. That was Annette Munich, owner of Stellium Books, my publisher. But don't let that scare you off of purchasing a copy. If you haven't done your good deed for the day yet, part of the proceeds of every sale of every copy of my book goes to support stjude.org, St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, Nevada, and the ASPCA. So you get to help some of the most neediest children on the planet and the animals too. How cool is that? You can get the book autographed by me enclosed in a house blessing kit off of the website. You can also purchase it a little less expensive on Amazon. Great time to buy the book because God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry 2, Chronicles of an American Exorcist, comes out this summer. There are some stories in the first book that I had to leave open-ended because the cases were ongoing, and I bring closure to them and wrap some of these cases up in the second book. So it's time to get all caught up before you dive into the second book. If you purchased the book, which should come out August, the second book, both books, I should say, don't read them at night. Don't read them alone. Pray before you read, pray after you read, and just be careful. Okay. Um, Scroll a little further down on that page, and you'll find the Worldwide Society of Exorcists, which I'm a founding member. I offer a 12-week online college-level course, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare, through the WSE. And this is the course for all you true warriors for Christ that feel a calling and a longing to want to have more knowledge when it comes to drawing your line in the sand, making a stand, circling the wagons, and putting up a good fight against, God forbid, true evil if it ever comes calling. This is the course for you. All of my students that graduate get a stunning diploma, certificate of completion, suited for framing, along with some other very special blessed gifts that you can only get from yours truly, the Rev. You can enroll at the website in the course. If you want more information about the course before making that type of commitment, there is a Worldwide Society of Exorcists Facebook page. You can go there, read a little bit about the course, or just call me. Send me a text message, an email, call me. I'm approachable, and we can talk about the course, see if it's right for you. The course will not teach you how to be an exorcist. That's the only time I do get my preach on and get on my soapbox and say, that is a calling. You can't just take a course and become an exorcist or a demonologist. That's a calling. Okay? So please keep all of my former, current, and future students in your prayers. It's very appreciated. All right, brothers and sisters, the reason why you all tuned in. I've known her a long time. She's a friend. We've gone on many a ghost hunt together, many a paranormal investigation together. She's really cool. You all know her and love her anyhow. She's a local Vegas' own elite ghost hunter. Please welcome to the show the one and only, and I'm going to try not to butcher her last name here, the one and only Linda Masa Nimtiwa.
Yeah.
Did I get it?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. How many years have I known you? And every time we talk, I butcher your last name. I wrote down, you sent me a message saying it's pronounced like this. And I broke it down and I had that note right here to be able to read so I wouldn't butcher it. But Linda, you look so pretty tonight and you sound
Yeah.
great. And I'm glad
Okay,
to have
thanks.
you here. It's been too long since you and I have chatted like this before. I only have one rule. I want you to have fun so that you'll want to come back and we can talk about anything you want to talk about. But you know what I just realized? I'm going to ask you about this right off the bat.
Okay.
Does this look familiar to you?
Yeah.
Besides the fact that it's a Bible, why does that look familiar to you?
I think that's one of Binion's hotel, right?
You're good.
No.
You're
Oh.
good.
Okay.
Isn't it interesting? I pulled today's prayer out of that book, and that's the book that a spirit, the Bible, I should say,
Yeah.
that a spirit gifted me when you and I were at the Apache
Yeah.
Hotel,
Yeah.
which is adjacent to Binion's there,
Yeah.
and that was an interesting. First of all, I love the show. And that was the Purdy's with
Yeah.
Elite Vegas Paranormal. I was so sad to see that the show that tour stopped. I was also
Yeah.
very sad they stopped doing the Las Vegas Paracon. But life goes on. If I know the Purdy's, they got something coming, and we haven't heard or seen the last of them. But you and I, it's interesting. You and I and Sharon that night were kind of off away from the group doing our thing on one of the floors there in the Apache Hotel, and when we walked by this one room, empty room, we clearly heard, first of all, we clearly smelled smoke. Not fire smoke, but like cigar or cigarette smoke. We also heard somebody clearing their throat. I thought it was somebody, one of the people on the tour in that room investigating,
Yeah.
but we realized the tour was way down at the other end of the hall. And when I went to enter that room, I clearly felt the presence of, like, just not malevolent, but the presence of somebody, disembodied spirit, meeting me at the door and standing there. And I just got the feeling I should introduce myself and ask for permission for you, I, and Sharon to enter, which it he or she gave us permission to come in. And then
Yeah.
when we when we entered, I clearly heard the rattling of the nightstand between the two beds. And then as I approached it, one of the drawers slightly came ajar a little bit, like somebody made an attempt to open it but didn't really have the strength. And when I opened up that drawer, there it was, this Bible. And I had the collar on that night. I took that as a direct sign that that Bible was meant for me. So did Brian. He said, that Bible's yours, take it. But when I
Yeah.
opened it up in the dark and put my finger down wherever it was, and I shined my flashlight, I think you took a picture of that.
Yeah. That's
The
the picture.
message that I read on there, and it was a very personal message that totally resonated with me. And I was like, this spirit is being guided by other spirits to get this message to me. So I've prayed for that spirit many times because I hate to think of some spirit spending eternity there in this hotel room at the Apache Hotel. But it is what it is. But you had some great experiences that night. What do you remember most about that tour? And I know you went on that tour more than just the time I was there.
Yeah. I just kept going back because the first night I caught in a recording. It was like I think it was a little child laughing, or there was like in the background there was a small child, but there's no small children allowed on this tour or whatever the investigation. Then I caught a phone ringing like an old fashioned rotary phone, like in the background, but nobody was reacting to it, and I didn't hear it either until I went home and listened to it on my recorder, and then you can hear it clearly. It was kind of loud. It was ringing, in the background. And afterwards, that's what the David and Brian was saying, that people hear that the security guards can hear a phone ringing, but there's no phone active on that floor that we were on. There's nothing. There's no phone lines or working, and all that. And it was like a really old style, rotary phone kind of thing. That's what it sounded like ringing. It wasn't like a cell phone. Uh, that was I caught that twice. But the first time it was pretty loud. But nobody here heard it. For some reason, when you're there, it was just on the recording. And then,
Yeah, I wanted to. I don't know if I thanked you for showing up that night. They had me also on the Talking Paranormal
yeah,
show before the tour starts, where I talked and you showed up. That meant a lot to me for you to show up. So thank you very much. But we had so much
well, that's
fun that
good.
night. I'm really disappointed that I don't know what happened between the Binions and the Apache and EVPS, but I was disappointed to hear that the show they weren't going to do it any longer. Thinking of and speaking of pictures, you are a phenomenal photographer, and I know many times I've seen you every I don't know if it's the same camera that you bring every time. You've got so much great evidence on it. I always compliment you on your camera because it's awesome looking. I am not I'm lucky to occasionally have gotten some good evidence on some still photos and then one or two pieces of film footage, but you get excellent stuff all the time. I remember you and I going on a really cool. You also were a part of the Pioneer Ghost team
Yeah,
that gave many tours over many years at the Good Springs Pioneer
yeah,
Saloon.
yeah,
But one night we went there, and it was my anniversary with Sharon, and we took the tour that night in the ghost hunt. You were there again, and I remember you took two interesting photos that night. Um, One, we were in that old assessor's shed, and you
yeah,
said, "Shawn, I think there's something behind me." I turned, I took a photo, I didn't see anything. And then when we developed that film later, right behind you, taller than you, I don't know if it was floating or if it was just a taller entity, were clearly two red eyes in the darkness right behind you.
yeah. It was like
Um,
out in the doorway or something,
yeah,
looking in.
I found that really incredible. And then we were there. This was actually, I believe, this was the second time I was there with you because we had that young lady. Oh my gosh, I forget her name. Long blonde hair, lived in California, but came out all the time on the
Yeah,
weekends for tours. She had that bad attachment
yeah,
come on her, and then we came to another investigation and tried to help her with that attachment. And during that time, as I was laying hands on her and praying over her in the saloon, you had the smoke machine going and you were taking some
yeah,
photos, and I clearly felt something was unhappy with what I was trying to do, and it kind of bum rushed me, and you caught the most phenomenal photo of and you even called it, it looked like a skeleton face coming out of the smoke at me.
yeah. It was
Clearly
like,
something
it was
solid in
like,
the smoke was moving through, coming. Incredible catch by you. You've got a real, I know you've got you're very sensitive to spirit, and you've got probably more psychic abilities than you realize you do. But you have a uncanny sense of when to take that photo and catch that evidence. And here's another time you and I were there for that dinner, the
yeah,
haunted dinner, and
yeah.
you
The
caught
haunted
that
dinner.
little boy that was going around holding people's hands and resting on their laps and walking on the table. You caught what appears to be that little boy walking across the table there. It's like right between you, me, and Sharon. Um, Talk to me about your approach, and you've been doing it a long time. And then we'll go into your books and some of your other Facebook pages that people can go and look at your work. But talk to me about your approach, how you even got involved in the paranormal and your passion for it, and how you look at the paranormal field, and just what it does for you and what you try to give back, and how you go about doing what it is you do.
Well, originally I wasn't really into that much ghosts and hunting and all that or paranormal, but I did watch a lot of those TV shows, that came out like Ghost Hunts when it first started happening, and like that kind of thing, like everybody else. Uh, but then I started having stuff going on at work. I mean, it's an old building where I worked on the base, the first one. It's like a bar, and we had all kinds of strange activities, like weird things happening. So that's how I sort of started. Then my dad, he started becoming very ill around 2009, 2008, somewhere. And I actually got attacked by a shadow figure. That was the first and only time I've ever had that happen. So like that picture you said where it was hitting you, like a head butting you or something, but you didn't see it. You didn't know it was there at the time, or when you're doing that. But with me, it was standing in the doorway. It looked like a bear at first. It was hunched over like a rounded back. It was like a little animal. So I kept staring at it like, what is that? And it was kind of moving like this. And all of a sudden it stood up and it turned into like a man with a head and the shoulders. And it's kind of tall and a big guy. And then it was doing this. It was just kind of moving to see if I could see it, I think. Or, it's visible or something. And then it just came at me. It went like this, and when it did this, I could feel it in my neck. It was trying to choke me. But when it did it, I could actually see the arm. It was grayish white, like a ghost kind of, like a typical ghost. But I can see details of his hand. He had like a ring on his finger. I guess it's a wedding ring kind of thing, just a plain band ring. It looked like an older man's hands because it was kind of big. But I could see up his sleeve. He had a coat on. He had no like a must have been a short sleeve shirt or something because you only see the jacket. But I could see his arm and everything. But I could only see where it was really close. So it was from here down I could see. The rest was all blurred out. It was still gray like a shadow. And then for some reason I don't know why he backed off me. I mean, because I was like,
Well,
oh
I'll
yeah,
tell you why. Because I was just about to ask you right away. I mean, I'm already knowing that this thing is it may or may not have been demonic, but
yeah.
whatever it was had malevolent a malevolent nature to it. And you know that because you're the sweetest person on the planet. So for something to want to attack you, that's a dead giveaway, and that's why it had to back off you because it knew. And I
Yeah.
wouldn't even be surprised. Had your father passed by then?
No, he was still alive, but he was really sick.
How
And
about your mother? Was she still alive?
yes, she was, but she was kind of getting not good health too. She was getting weak at the time. But my dad was the one that's really sick, and we didn't realize he was going to pass away soon because he never told us anything like that. I think he knew, but he wasn't. He didn't want to accept it. He just wanted to keep going until there's no way to keep going because he didn't want to give up. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
that was his mindset at the time, his feelings. So he just never said anything to us. But that's what really threw me into this. That attack. I mean, I had to go online to find out what is it. Once I got internet, I didn't have any internet then, so because I live with my parents, and my dad did not like internet, online, nothing. So he said no, I'm not gonna get that, whatever. So I never had it until after he passed away, and then my mom said, go ahead and get it, just go ahead and do it, together. So okay, so I went and got it, and that's the first thing that I searched was a shadow figure. What is it? What? And I trying to find who else had that experience, and nobody. The only thing I could come up with is like drawings of people making shadow, like a funny looking shadow man thing, or Casper the Ghost kind of image. So, so that was my search until I hit. Uh, you might know him, Chip Coffee. He's a famous second. So he had his website, and he had like a thing on the side where you can talk anonymously. You can make a anonymous name, wherever you can ask away anything you want. Don't be afraid or whatever, ashamed, but you'll stay anonymous and we don't judge. That kind of thing. So let me try it. So that's why I got on there. I was telling her about the shadow figure. Then I found out many people experience this, but they just don't know how to talk to about it, or like I was. I didn't know, like that. But so they kind of talked me down, like, calm down. It don't sound as bad as you think it is. Because it could get worse. The thing you just did that and left. It didn't come back. Haven't had anything experiences with that shadow, or like that since then. But
That's frightening. That is just frightening.
so I was like, oh my god, what was that? It took my breath away. I was like, oh, what is this? I don't understand. it's confusing, whatever, But that's how I got into it. That kind of pushed me into researching for myself, mainly for that. And then as I got into it, I started meeting people, like other people that are interested, in doing the paranormal thing, like either going places or just talking about it, their experiences and stuff like that. It was kind of interesting after that, so I just kept going into it more. And then I have a friend who was online at the time, and she's from Canada, so she's down here in Vegas for her cousin's wedding or something. So she decided to text me and say, "Hey, let's show up. Let's do something. I like to do some ghosting, but I like hands on. I'm an investigator from Canada. I have my team, but I'm just here by myself. We can meet up. We can do something." So I said, "Okay, I don't know what they have here, like that." So I said, "Well, whatever you find, let me know, and I'll go with you. We can meet up that way." She said, "Okay." So she found the Pioneer Saloon. This is how I started going to Pioneer Saloon. I went on their Ghost, the van that takes you out there. They pick you up down in town and they drive you out there. But that's a hands-on. They give you a little equipment and they tell you how
Yeah.
to use it and stuff. And they take you to different places. That little cabin that we went to, and then they stayed in the saloon. And then we walked out to I think it was cemetery. I'm not sure, but we hung around there. And we did like an overnight kind of thing, sort of. Not really overnight, but talking about the different stories out there. And then
That's a
that's the
pretty
first.
long investigation. They started, if I remember, the couple of times I was there with you, they would start, I don't know, 7 o'clock and go till midnight or even later sometimes.
Yeah, this one was a little shorter because it was the in town one where we meet up around 8 or so, or you get the Pioneer Saloon around 8. They feed you a pizza or whatever, snacks, and then we do the investigation. Then we'd be gone by 10, 10, 11, and there still be there people, there are other people in the bar. So it was not a shorter one. So you get you back by town by 11. But that actually, I actually had got touched by something when I was. I wasn't expecting it. I was sitting, so the guy, he was saying, okay, everybody take seats, whatever seats you want, in the Lombard room where the tables are roundish, and he has set it up. So okay, everybody just take your seats. I'm not gonna say nothing. Just pick your chair. So I went to get a pizza. I came back. The only chair left was right next to my friend, and the tour guide was sitting on this side or whatever this side, and then I was in between. I was, oh, I guess I'll take this one. Then he kind of, like his, ooh, like that. And then as soon as I sat down, okay, I'm going to tell you about this chair that you just sat down. And I'm like, oh my God. He goes, every woman that's been sitting there gets touched by something, someone, one of our spirits, either back of the hair, if they have long hair, or they get the tug on the shirt, or they like a feeling somewhere on you. I guarantee you're going to get touched by the end of the night. It's so great. Okay,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So I had this like a hoodie jacket on because it was kind of cool, and I pushed his sleeves up to pushed them up a little bit because I was eating this pizza and I was listening and everything. And as I sat there, I could feel something touch my forearm on my my left side. It was like I thought it was a bug at first, so I kind of looked down and I'm like, "What is that?" There's nothing there, and it went up my arm. It was like fingertips running up my arm, under my jacket. It was through my jacket and up to my shoulder. And I said, "Ooh, yeah, somebody's touching me." And the tour guide, you see, I told you, every woman that sat in that chair, every time we do, someone gets touched. I mean, somebody's touching. So he goes, here, I'll show you. This is how you get rid of it. Stop touching here. Get away. That's it. That's enough. Back off. I mean, kind of forcefully. And then it just stopped. It's like, so they're saying there was a guy who used to live in Good Springs a long time ago. He died. I think something happened. Or he got shot. Or it was like a story of an
Oh yeah,
older man.
that's right. The gambling dude.
Yeah,
Well, there was
he,
two. There was the bartender who committed suicide, and then there was
yeah,
a gunfight at the table where they were gamblers, and
yeah.
one of the gamblers got killed.
Yeah, so I think it could be him, or it could have been one of those guys from a long time ago, because they're not sure who was doing it. But oh,
This is what I suspect. I have had a lot of contact with that little boy. In fact, I believe that little boy followed Sharon and I home for one of those times that we came out
yeah,
there and hung out with you guys at the Pioneer Saloon. And then he was here at the house for a little while. Sharon and I both saw him, and
uh-huh.
he seemed to be like happy to get away from where he was at for a while and be at this new place. And he wasn't malevolent or even mischievous. He was just kind of around. He didn't bother my dogs. My dogs liked him. He didn't go outside and bother the cats. They seemed to like him, and he was just all over the place. And then eventually, I told him, eventually you're going to have to go back to the saloon.
Yeah,
But he brought a friend with him. He brought, and this is going to lead to my next question. He brought an Indian woman, here with him. And I first thought it was Sharon in the hallway. I woke up out of a dead sleep, and I'm on my right side looking down the hallway, and I thought Sharon was there. And because she didn't move or say anything or walk, I got up to see if she was okay.
Yeah.
And as I'm getting up, I feel that she's right behind me still. So then I'm in bed, so I knew that it wasn't her. Turned out to be this Indian woman. And do you remember that one night that I did a blessing on the assessor's cabin? So one of the spirits asked if would like a blessing on the cabin over somebody's. Um, uh, they had one of those speakers that you can hear the spirit's voice through it. I don't know what they're
Yeah.
called. And I had asked, would you like a blessing on the one of the psychics there sensed a spirit needing some help and wanting a blessing on the shed. And then they answered when I said, you want a blessing, they said yes. So I gave that blessing. Well, apparently she was an Indian woman that hung out at the saloon. Back in the day, they wouldn't allow her in there for two reasons. Some women did come in there, but there was a brothel, but they didn't let Indian women in the home in that saloon. So she liked what I had done there, and she followed us home and requested that I come back to the town and do a blessing on the town. And it took probably me 3 months to do that. And we saw her many times here in the home, Sharon and I both. And finally, we finally got out there. But that little boy, I think, came with her, and then he went back with her. They were kind of like a team. And then I went
No.
back and I started at the cemetery. I blessed the whole town. They never showed back up here at the house, so I think they were happy. But every time I met you out there, I I would feel the little boy come up and grab my hand like little kids do when they come up and they know
Yeah.
you and they grab your hand and you walk around with them. I think you were being touched by the little kid. That seems very childlike for me to touch. You know how kids come up, they're touchy feely. They put their hands on your arms and stuff. And you caught that picture of the little boy during the dinner. I think the little boy liked you. That's my feeling. I could be totally wrong, but that's what I sense. But we've had some crazy times there.
Yeah.
Um, I want to talk about your parents for a little bit, and if it gets to be an emotional thing for you, and you'd rather move on off the topic, we can because I know I get emotional when I talk about my parents. I know they're both in heaven. Your parents. I find as interesting of uh, story is of my parents coming together. I find it even more interesting the way your parents came together. Your mother, if I remember correctly, was full-blooded Japanese,
Yes.
and your father was he's of indigenous heritage. What tribe?
The Hopi from northern Arizona. He's full
And
blooded.
he goes into the army, and he gets stationed in Japan, and meets and falls in love with your mother. They end up
Yeah.
getting married, but when they met, they couldn't even speak each other's language. Correct?
No, she didn't speak English at all, and he didn't speak Japanese, but very, very little. He just basic things
Yeah,
so he
I'm
can
sure.
survive.
Very
That's
little. He found a way. He
yeah.
found a
He took
way.
lessons. He said he took a little lessons. He brought back a little Japanese English dictionary so he could look up the words to what to say.
That's incredible. I find that story so incredible. I know they watch over you. I know you've sensed that too. But let's talk about like I got this question from Betty in Wyoming at the beginning of the show. She's living in the Indian land up there, and she feels she's got. She probably has more than one Indian spirit in her home. Um, I ran into that so much here in Vegas, and you being of half indigenous blood flowing through your veins. Do you run into that much? And if so, how do you handle it different than maybe your run of the mill disembodied spirit or um, do you have any advice for Betty?
Oh, about the Indian spirits and
Yeah.
or something like that. So another thing, going back to Pioneer Student, when I was first there, I heard she heard Indians singing, like they're Indian singers or chanting, like at a powwow kind of thing. But it wasn't a powwow. There was no Indians nearby or anything. It was like 2 in the morning or 3 or something in the early morning. Nobody could hear except me. And I said, Noel was standing right there, and I said, "You hear that?" And she goes, "No." It's like sounds like Indians singing, like hitting drums or like So he was thinking because I'm Indian or at least half Indian, I have some kind of connection. They're trying to communicate something to me, or they're saying you're welcome to be here on our land or something, or because I was the only one that could hear it, nobody else could hear it. So I thought, okay, so I do like that kind of thing for when I go on places where there's possible American heritage or whatever lands. I kind of feel like I'm not uh, discouraged to leave or we're discouraged to be on the land for some strange reason. I don't know if it's because I'm half Indian or, like they recognize me as one of them or something. It's kind of weird because I don't feel like I would go into like the, what is it, a haunted house, like the Amityville Horror or whatever the movie or whatever, it would be like bad stuff. Then I would feel really threatened. I feel like, get out kind of thing. And it doesn't want me there. But it's strange. I can go to other places like where there is Indian, known Indian tribal lands or something, and it feels different. I feel like I'm okay to be there. So I mean that part, I guess I'm different from my friends or something. So
What do
but
you think?
I've heard.
What do you
Oh,
think Betty? What do you think Betty should do? I know what you would do if you were there. Maybe talk about what you might do if you were living in Betty's home, or what do you think Betty should do? I would assume Betty's probably. I don't know. I hate to assume, but I would assume she's just a white woman
yeah,
living there. Maybe I haven't seen a picture of her. Maybe a black woman. Maybe Hispanic.
yeah,
I don't know. I I I sense she's not of indigenous heritage,
yeah,
or she probably would have already reached out to the local indigenous peoples there for help.
yeah.
So, what do you think she should do?
Uh, well, it would depend on what this ghost or what a spirit is doing to her. If it's trying to actually chase her out or doing stuff that'll scare her, then they obviously something's not right. I mean, they don't feel comfortable if it is the Indian spirit for her to be there. Like they're not allowing her to be on their land, or she's the intruder, sort of, because they were there before. Uh, um, Other than that, I always feel like you should give them a gift or some kind of peace offering, or just trying to just talk to the Indian spirit, saying, I'm not here to ruin anything, or I'm not here to intrude. I live here now, and you need to kind of keep your distance a little bit. It's sort of like with all spirits, basically. Other than that, you can do like a salting, put like outside in the borders of your home, or whatever the border is. You can put like salt or do like a like kind of thing. I just had to do that recently with this crystal ball that I thought I had some issues with. So I went outside and did the salting in my house, which I haven't done in so many years. But I
Yeah.
felt compelled to do it. It just felt better to do that kind of thing. Just go out on the borders of your home, even just the whole yard if you can, or even just the house. Put a barrier against anything. You just say, I get rid of the negative. You're not allowed to come in. Only the positive energy, kind of thing. Uh, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not really a shaman. My grandfather was. He probably can tell what to do. In case that happens. But he's passed away. Like,
Yeah. Do you naturally have a feel to want to work those types of cases, or go visit, like they had that beautiful powwow out here out at Snow
oh wow,
Mountain.
yeah,
Oh, I love that. Sharon and I haven't gone in a long time,
yeah.
but we used to love going to that. And have you been to that? I believe it's a Hopi Indian Museum out in Overton. Have you been to
Oh,
that?
I think part of it, but I think it's more Paiute
Oh, is
and
it
Ute
Paiute? It
because
could.
that's towards Utah. So it's probably Ute and because I've been there before. I know what you're talking about, the museum. I've been there. It's
Yes.
haunted. I was invited to go there. That's what they told me to go in because I
Yeah.
met this lady in Mesquite. She was or Overton or whatever. She was doing a book sale and she found out I'm into that kind of thing and I'm Indian. So pretty soon, you know how small towns are. Everybody knows each other. She got on the phone with somebody at the thing. She's here. She's gonna ready to leave. You want to come? Oh, okay, send her over. Okay. So I talked to the director. She had walked me through. And, well, we have like all kinds of the books on there. Fly off, and I think it's the Indian or something because they like the books with the nature in it, like flowers or birds or something. They fly off the shelf. I mean, literally just come off. And they say we're having issues with the lights, and sometimes they're off and on, and people have a bad feeling over here and stuff. But I'm not going to tell you what happened to the actual original directors, but I'll let you go and you can walk through and let me know what you feel. And felt like someone's joking. So when I get this feeling, if something bad happened, I get like an overwhelming, funny, odd, bad feeling. So I found out later that there was the husband and wife they killed, I guess
Oh,
murder. Or he killed his wife there or something. It's something like that. It was a dispute and she died right there on the property. And that's what the overwhelming feeling was for me. But
that
it
was
was
a.
it was cool though. I mean, I got to go in there just by myself, and I was walking around getting the
Did
feel.
they let you go down into that? I don't know. It's not. I don't know what it's called, but there's a place where they would go under the ground to either live or do ceremonies, and they still have a couple of authentic ones there, and they have the
Yeah,
hole and the ladder that goes down. And did they let you go down in that?
I think it's outside, right? Like a kiva or something. It's like a
Yeah.
ladder. Yeah, I kind of looked inside, but I didn't want
They
to
wouldn't let
go
us. I
in.
wanted to go inside. They wouldn't let us. They were they. I got the impression that they stopped letting people go in there for a reason, and they
Uh,
didn't tell me what that was. But I
so
wanted to go in there.
it's probably because they start getting activity. Because she said it comes like it's like like a waves. Their activity there, and the workers are scared of it. Some accept it. They're like they find it exciting, but some of them don't.
Well, if I remember correctly, behind the museum, don't they have authentic old living areas that the Indians had made? Isn't those back there? Don't they have the huts and stuff?
I think so because just you can go outside. It's a big area. You
Yeah.
can walk and
That yeah,
see
that
how they
place
lived.
the energy there is off the charts at this place. And then did you go to that funeral the cemetery not too far from there?
No, that one I didn't
Yeah,
go because
we
it
had
was
to
getting
Sharon
late.
and I went on a little bit of a drive and it was up on top of a hill and then you could actually see the museum in the town, Overton.
Oh yeah.
And that cemetery is just while I'm on the topic of cemeteries, and I mentioned the cemetery out at Good Springs, and that I started my blessing there. What do you think about investigating at cemeteries, or if you're putting together a team? Everybody seems to want to take their new team members and train them at cemeteries. How do you feel about that? And have you had any really unusual experiences at any cemeteries?
Yeah, this is just my opinion. I don't know about anybody else, but cemeteries would be the easiest way to communicate to the dead because there's lots of spirits there. They're trying to rest. I mean, that is find a resting place and all that, and so it's kind of easier to get to me to communicate with someone because there's so many of them. In the cemetery, you would think. So I'm sure that's why they take new people out there to see if they can learn the equipment and stuff. It's just when I do it to test my equipment, I went out to the veteran cemetery where my mom and dad are buried, and that's why I went there because I know they're there. I sat right in front of them, and all I get is get out, be quiet, like because the thing is loud, the spirit box, and I'm using record, I'm asking questions, Some say hello, like that kind of thing, friendly, like oh, who is that or something, I can hear people talking clearly with my ears, but it's just other ones that say get out, go away, or kind of because they don't want to be bothered by that kind of thing. So I have one story though. At the same time I went to the veteran cemetery, I was sitting there and I was trying to communicate, and I saw this lady kind of this way, far off, and she was kind of upset and crying, and she was walking. She saw me, and then she kind of didn't want to come near me, and she just walked off, and she's walking through, kind of like someone had just passed away, or something. And then on the spirit box, you hear loud. It was really loud. I heard some man say "Pat" like that, really loud. And I went, "Wow!" And the lady just happened to be standing there, and she gave me like that kind of look. And she, "Oh no, no!" And then she ran off, and she ran into her truck and locked herself, locked herself in.
Wow.
And I was trying. Well, maybe I don't know if I should go after her. Maybe somebody, it's a guy knows her or something. Maybe that's why she's there. But she got scared and she saw me coming around, and she kind of in her truck because she don't want me to. I think she got scared, or maybe she recognized the voice of whoever. I mean, she was there for, but and she didn't want to acknowledge it. I mean, something, it was an issue or something. I thought
Did
there
they
was some kind of issue.
Did they do a 21 gun salute for your father when he was buried?
Yes.
Have you heard that at your house?
The gunshots?
Because they did that for my father too, and I started getting well, out of a dead sleep. I would get launched out of bed because it sounded like somebody shot a gun off right in my ear. But I would
No.
I would launch out of bed. Sharon's still sound asleep. My dogs are sound asleep. Everything around the house looks calm, and that happened for several days. And I don't know, I didn't know what it was. I thought I was going crazy. And then I went to his funeral, and this happened even before his funeral.
Oh,
That
yeah.
at his funeral they were doing the 21 gun salute, and I said that's it. And I don't know why. I would have thought I would have gotten it afterwards,
Yeah.
but I got it before. And I wondered if you had experienced anything like that with your father's presence since his burial there.
Well, I didn't get the gun salute or anything like that. I guess it would be too frightening for me get to hear a gun in my ear, or but I did have one experience like a couple of days after he had passed away, and we're getting ready for his funeral, and my mom was just in the living room watching TV, and I was trying to clean the kitchen because we had these rugs here and there, and I was trying to vacuum, and I had another TV on, and her TV was on. There was a lot of noise going on. The vacuum's loud, and I was just vacuuming, and all of a sudden right up against here, right against my ear. I hear go, ah! I mean, I was a man. It was like, ah! Like trying to get my attention. I looked around. I thought maybe his kids outside, like pranking me. I'm like, what is? Because there's a window right there, right in the kitchen. And I look at it and said, what was that? So I turned the vacuum. I asked my mom, you hear that? She goes, no. Some man was yelling at me. She goes, I didn't hear nothing. She's trying to listen and everything. And then pretty soon I hear my dad's voice talking to the other guy who yelled at me, and it was like a surprise reaction from my dad. He was like, "Oh," like he can't believe that I can hear them still, or they can be heard because he was gone.
Wow.
It was, and then there was like two, and it sounded like a relative of mine, the other one, the one that yelled at me. Then all of a sudden they're like talking to each other, but I couldn't understand and started mumbling, and it kind of faded off. So later on, right, my aunt, her son died, her only son, and she was very sad and everything. So I went to go to Arizona to say, to visit her because they already told me she's so depressed because her only son died, then her husband died, and she's seeing ghosts in her house. She's had the Indian version of a priest or shaman come out and bless it, and they did ceremonies, and she said it's still happening. She can't get rid of it. She's scared and everything. But she said that it was my cousin, one of her cousins. His name is Hyson. He passed away a long, long time ago, in the 1990s, I think, or something. He was, I guess, alcoholic or we're not really sure how he died. But she says he's become like a soul collector for our family. He
Wow.
comes back right before they're ready to pass. He comes visit you, to pick you up or whatever. But only, my dad's side of the family. And I said, really? Yeah, because she said in the middle of the day, if she was wide awake, she saw him come in the house. He had a cloth covering his face, like something like you're buried. They had put a cloth in your face. But he walked through the house. He went right to her son's bedroom right before he passed away, and he asked her where's her son, and she was like, what? He was in dialysis at the time because he was kidney failure. And then he says, I've come for him. I've come to pick him up. He said, where is he? And she was having a conversation with him. And she goes, she knows it was him. And she goes, he's not here. Get out of here. Get out of here. She frightened so much that he just kind of left. He said he wasn't walking. He was just kind of floating out the door. But she knows who it was right away. And even though she couldn't see his face, and she was telling me the story about after he had passed, and she started breaking down and crying and all this other stuff that was going on. So she was telling me that she believes that now he's like the soul collector of his side of the family. He's waiting for everybody to cross, and he's right there to help them transition into
Wow.
And I think that's the other young man that was with my dad, because it sounds like a family member of my dad because the voices are similar, but it was a younger person who was doing this. And then my dad is talking to him like he knew him, like who knew who he was. It was
Wow.
like they're having, and then they just left. And then it was kind of that was the only strange thing I had with my dad right afterwards. Well, one of them anyway, that really kind of stood out. Uh, and I think it was sort of meant for me, kind of thing, because nobody else, my dad, my mom couldn't hear it, and I talked to people, and it was all I kind of like isolated in the house, even though my mom was there, but I was kind of separate, and it sort of happened around me. And I think he was just showing him that you still have a voice, even though you're physically not there. And he was surprised, like, oh, wow, what is this? But I think I think my dad comes back every so often
I'm
to
sure he
point
does.
things out.
I'm
I
sure
mean,
he does.
he's very kind of vocal, not the voice, but audible kind of things. It makes me kind of
Well, I want to make sure everybody knows all about you before you go. Let me make sure I get everything correct here. And I got another one of those clouds over here. Am I in the dark? Got another one of those clouds. I have. You're on YouTube now. You have Linda Mas. Let me get the name right. I'm gonna keep reading it. Masanimtiwa
yeah.
YouTube channel. I love it. You and your
So
brother on got some stuff there. But I also have LND Paranormal Seekers
yeah, that's my brother and myself.
webs.com.
Yeah,
But I also have a Facebook page, L&D Paranormal
yeah,
Seekers. And I also have Linda Psychic Journey, all one word.com.
yeah. That's my
All of these
website.
pages, you're easy to find at all of these places. But you've got books out, a couple of books at least, that
yeah.
did very well. Before I have to kick you out of here, you're so much more than just a talented photographer. Tell everybody real quick who's just about to get into this what your camera is, why it has served you so well, and if you have one other piece of paranormal equipment that you love that you can advise that people get.
Yeah, so the camera I always use is a Nikon 3200, I think. I have it right here. I brought it just in case. So this is the one I use. This this is one of the first ones that I actually bought with my own money. I mean, it's a kind of expensive camera for me,
Oh
but this
yeah.
is what I. So it's kind of weird because now I got it trained to actually take pictures in the dark because a lot of these ghost events are in total darkness. So before, when you click at the automatic with no flash, it wouldn't take it because it's too dark. But now it's going to Pioneer Saloon and all these places. For some reason now it works, so I can just click away and I can get pictures like the one I got on yours with the face, with the entity or whatever. And then other places, that's how I catch them without flash. So it's better to, for me anyway, with no flash. Otherwise, it kind of scares them. I think the spirits. Um, but this is one of my favorite ones I take, and of course, my voice recorder is another one because I can hear.
What kind do
Uh,
you use?
oh, I don't have it, but I have a Sony. I think a
It's,
Panasonic
it's
Sony.
digital.
Yes, a digital recorder.
Okay. You like those?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
It's pretty good. I mean, it captures really stuff that I can't hear for some strange reason.
I heard you mention Ghost Box earlier. What kind of that? What kind of Ghost Box do you use?
I've got an SB7, I think. SB7. It's an older model, the older
Do
ones.
you like those?
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I have to really practice on length of where you put your voice recorder to the actual speaker to catch really good. You can hear something. Otherwise, it's kind of loud and snowy. Sometimes I get like that at the cemetery. I mean, very loud responses where you can clearly hear what they're saying. Like scared that woman. And she was far away from me. She could hear it too. Like so.
Well, you and your brother have been everywhere. I've seen pictures of you guys in London. I know
Yeah.
that you have traveled all over the place. I know you've got when you're able to break away from work, you've got an all-nighter planned at the Tonopah Hotel. Before I got to kick you out of here, Linda, do you have what's at the top of your para bucket list as far as locations go that you haven't been to yet that you're going to make sure you get to one of these days?
um, I don't really have any specific place. I heard Queen Mary, which is kind of closer to me. I can drive there. I heard there might be an event there. I'm not sure. I might go to that one, Queen Mary. Then there another thing was like we're supposed to go to Catalina Island, but it got canceled because of the pandemic. That happened, and then we got canceled. And that one is more like a UFO kind of thing, which I'm sort of new at. Um, I sort of kind of transitioned to that little bit. The
That's
UFOs,
okay.
the aliens. It's a new thing for me.
That's okay.
Uh,
You have a passion for it. I can tell, and it's
it's
just
a
not much of a transition.
yeah.
UFOs, and next thing I know, you and I will. I'll catch you out in the forest looking for Bigfoot one of these days. And
Yes. Yeah, it kind of scares me though, Bigfoot, because it's actual could
well,
be a living
listen,
animal.
sister, you know I love you and respect you, and it's been too long since we did this. I think I'm already booking for October. I might get you back around Halloween if you're free. I know you've
Oh
been
yeah.
30 years cooking at the out at the Air Force Base. God bless you for that. But thank you so much for spending an hour out of your busy Monday to hang out with me and my paranormal ministry family. I've been getting messages all week, people excited that you were going to be on tonight. So thank you. Don't be a stranger. Whenever I think of you, it always puts a smile on my face. So go with God, and I will talk to you soon. Okay?
Yep. Well, thank you for having me on your show.
You'll be back. I'll reach out to you to come back in October around Halloween.
Oh, okay.
Alrighty.
Okay.
I'll see you later. Bye
Okay. Bye
bye.
bye. Have
I'm gonna take one more shot at it before I'm in total darkness here. Linda Masanimtiwa. Guys, she's easy to find. Linda-psychicjourney.com, L&D Paranormal Seekers webs.com, L&D Paranormal Seekers Facebook page, and there's a Linda Masanimtiwa YouTube channel. Her and her brother Dennis, L&D Paranormal Seekers, they do a lot of stuff. Very cool people. You won't find two nicer people, and I love them both, and I always pray for them and wish them the best. So before I'm in total darkness here, who do I got coming up next week? Actually, this Friday, I am excited about this one, and you guys all know him and love him. He's a filmmaker. He's a director. He's a producer. He's an elite paranormal investigator. He's one of the members of Mass Hauntings. And we're going to talk about a big event Mass Hauntings got coming up out there on the East Coast. They're Massachusetts. Uh, my psychic that comes on the last Monday of every month for Happy Medium Monday, Linda, um, um, she's going to be on that team. She is on that team. Susan Ahern's on that team. They've got so many things coming up. It's just the list goes on and on here. I don't have time to read it all out to you, but this Friday, now Friday, my Friday show is different. My Friday show is at 2 p.m. Pacific, so that will be Daniel Groom from Mass Hauntings. Um, will be here this Friday, so be here for that one. And you guys should enjoy that show. What else do I want to tell you guys? Other than I don't have a show without each and every one of you. So thank you all so very much for tuning in and spending an hour out of your busy Monday evening to spend with the Rev. And you'll all stay in my prayers. Remember, stop the violence, stop the violence, stop the violence. Learn how to turn the other cheek, pray for your enemies. And I'm going to, my very poor attempt at putting a smile on everybody's face before I go is to read a bad joke out of the hat here that one of you sent in. Why don't oysters donate to charity? Because they're shellfish. Good night, Danny. Good night, dog. Good night, Jack. Good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. I love you all. God bless you all. Peace.